Well guys, today is October 2nd, 2018, and it is 10:23 a.m. on the East Coast, up in the northeast part of the country, and it's a dismal day. Not raining, but just kind of like blah. It actually may be a pretty good day to get some work done around the outside, meaning the yard and not the van. Excuse me. I know I've been driving you guys nuts with the van the last couple of days. Well, the last month. But misery misery loves company. And at that point, making the videos with you guys kind of like, got me through it a little bit easier, which was okay. So, yesterday afternoon, let me back up. Yesterday morning we had coffee, and there was 4 of us, and one of the guys used to work with SNET. He used to be a lineman, so he's not too afraid. Let's put it that way. Heights doesn't bother him too much. So I was telling him how I had to climb my pole or my tower, and normally I would do it, but not feeling just right the last 6-8 weeks. I didn't want to take a chance until I see the doctor on the 11th of October. So at that point he says, well, Paulie is Chris's friend. Friend, not a friend, but a friend. Said, well, did you ask Chris? I said, no, I didn't want to bother the guy. You don't like asking favors from friends, if you know what I mean. So next thing I know, Chris is asking me what I had to do, and I told him. And he said he'd come over in the afternoon and see if he can, help out and take care of it for me. And sure as shit, he came over about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and he climbed up the tower, put the new line through the pulley for me. So the antenna is now up. So now I just have to make some adjustments, which is going to be a piece of cake, because now I can lower it and drop it and lower it and tighten it, and whatever I need to do, I can do. So that's where we're at this point. So that's done. Still have a few little things just to straighten up the van, and I apologize for driving you guys nuts with all these van videos and such, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there and sticking in there and watching all these videos and commenting. I do appreciate that. But what I was thinking of doing is, first I'm going to put my corn muffin in the microwave and heat it up a little bit. I didn't toast it today. Bear with me, guys. Anyway, what I was thinking of doing is, a lot of this video stuff, and now that I can get on the air, about 11 o'clock, I want to see if there's still a net coming in at 14304, 20 meters. But a lot of it, and I've said before, is I do the videos because sometimes my kids can get on there and see basically what I'm up to. They're out of state. One of them is in state. And they actually don't get on YouTube other than if they want to check something. But I don't even know if they have an account, believe it or not. Most of the time they text me. But it gives them an idea as to what's going on in my day. So what I'm thinking of doing is starting another channel basically just for that reason. you know, and keep this one, just basically for things that's going on, and the other one more or less for these long, drawn out videos, that everybody can check to see what I was doing throughout the course of the day. This way, it's not going to interfere with you guys taking up a lot of your time trying to catch up on these long videos to leave a comment, which again I do appreciate. When you can watch a 5-minute video or a 10-minute video and look at it, comment, and get out of there and go on to other videos. Because as some of you guys start getting bigger, in subs, you're going to start getting a lot more comments. Therefore, you're going to have to kind of comment back. And if I'm tying up a half hour of your time, even if you speed through it, it's going to be one of those things to where it was time. So to make them shorter would be, I think, more beneficial for everybody. And the longer ones and the repeats, when I'm doing something, I'll just put on the other channel. And if you guys want to go there, well, then you can go there. If you don't want to go there, you don't have to. Just, whatever. If you go there and you don't want to comment, it doesn't bother me. It's just one of those things. So I'm thinking of doing that. We'll see what happens. And who's this? Hey, Bear. You got enough treats over there, buddy. Oh, you don't want a treat, huh? You want some loving? Yeah. You want some loving? Yeah. Yeah. So that's a thought process. Let's put it that way. I'm thinking of that. But other than that, that's about it. I got it there only because it was better than you guys looking at this all the time. And seeing that I'm sitting here most of the time and trying to get things done around here, this is where you guys get stuck seeing, which isn't fair to you guys either. Excuse me. Now that's a tram I got to finish for a friend of mine. I'm Bear. Yeah. And I got to get it back to him. He sent it to me about 2 months ago, but I was having those problems, with my ticker. So I didn't want to get involved with anything. I had a mess around the shop. I still have kind of a mess. It's gradually getting sorted out. But at that point, I said, let me get this done for him. Well, I opened it up. There's really nothing wrong with that radio. So I just kind of tuned and tweaked it up a little bit. So I'm going to kind of just leave it alone. Now, he was asking if it'll do extra channels. It will. However, I really hate to do it to that radio because it's a good radio. It's an old radio. And I don't want to start pushing this thing around because if it stops working, it's a radio that you really wish you didn't fool around with. It's one of those good radios to where you just don't want to screw around with it. So I'm going to just tune it up. I was going to put a processor in there that I made many years. Well, I didn't make it many years ago. I designed it many years ago, 40 plus years ago or so. And I have one here that is probably about, it's got to be close to 12, 14 years old. And last year I assembled it. That's a long story. I know I'm going to confuse you on it, and I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to kind of drop it there. But I did assemble it, and I was going to put it into his radio. But again, with this radio, with it being designed the way that it was back then, in order for me to put this processor in it, I'd have to make some changes to the radio that I really don't want to make because it's a good radio as it is. You got to know when to stop. So what I decided to do was I made myself something to go with that radio a couple years ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't keep track of time, you know that, guys. So if I say times and dates, and if I'm not looking at that, don't believe me because I have no idea. I'm not telling you to lie to you. I just don't keep track of time and dates. So I made this box that's under here for myself. Now that has a speech processor in it, and it also has an echo reverb in it. Now, the only thing wrong with that box is that the faceplate on it, the sticky stuff there, you know, the cabinet shelf liner sticky stuff, I didn't have anything really good. I had a little piece. It wasn't that great, but I said, you know what, let me just put it on there. So that would have to be replaced. But this has nothing to do with going in the radio. The mic plugs into it, and it plugs into the mic jack on the radio. So it's not going to tamper with anything within the radio. And I think that this will probably work 100% better, you know, and safer for the radio by not going in the radio to install everything, but putting it in the box like I have here. So I'll give him this box, because right now I'm not using it. And I can always build another one, you know, if in fact the time comes. I don't think I've used that box in since I built it about 2 years ago. But I haven't used the radio, this one or the other one, you know, as far as CB radio, since I hooked up the amateur stuff. So that's going, what, 3-4 years ago. You know, and you don't use that stuff on amateur. So basically that's where I'm at. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to test that on the radio. I'm going to put the radio back together, make sure everything's done, make sure it's all working right and everything's cleaned up, and put it back together, and I'm just going to leave it alone and then plug this in to see if it'll work. And if it works, I'm just going to send this with it, the radio, back to Vinny, and I think he'll be much happier knowing that it's a separate entity. So if that radio does ever do blow, or it stops working, or he decides he doesn't want to use it, all he's got to do is go out and buy another Cobra or Uniden, and this will plug right into it with no problems. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. Alright guys, I just ate up 12 minutes. I'm sorry. I'll catch you in a short. I'm going to have a corn muffin.